Hello everyone, this is Catherine. I'm so excited for this video because this is my very first collaboration video with another YouTuber, and also because I get to work with the lovely Joyce from Bunnyplans. If you're not subscribed to her already, please go check her out. She has amazing content on functional planning. She's actually one of the first people that I subscribed to on YouTube, and also one of the people that introduced me to the planner community online. So I really appreciate that. So in this video, we're going to be talking about three things. The first thing is why we love the Hobonichi Cousin and can't stay away from it and keep on coming back to it. And the second thing is why it didn't work for us so many times. And the last thing, we want to talk about how the changes we plan on making to make it really work for us. So I'm gonna be putting the timestamps down below for these sections, so you can just jump to the section that you're more interested in if you're short on time. And if you like my content, please subscribe and click the bell button so that you can get notified for all future videos. So one of the first things that really drew me to this notebook is that it's very, very thick. I'm just naturally drawn to very thick notebooks, and also just like books in general, because the idea of filling this really thick notebook out and be able to flip through it is just an idea that really attracts me, and it feels like a challenge. So that's what I loved about it. And also the paper is obviously incredibly luxurious. It's so thin, it's like Bible thin paper, and it takes on any kind of ink so incredibly well. And I love the crinkly texture and feel when you're flipping through it and once you fill out the pages. And another reason why I love the paper is because of nostalgia. When I was little, I used to write in these notebooks that had really thin paper, and we weren't allowed to use ball pen or gel pens. We had to use fountain pens. So the whole idea of like fountain pen on thin paper just really it just reminds me of my childhood. So I really love that. It's like going back to when I was little. I'm just like such a sentimental person, so I really like that. I also really love the layout and the format of this planner, because I have always planned with monthly, weekly, and daily all in one. I can't just do monthly and daily or monthly and weekly, and I have just never seen a planner that had all of that information in one notebook. And I think it is only possible with the Tomoe River paper, just because that's a lot of pages to fit into one notebook, and it wouldn't be possible unless the paper was so incredibly thin. And also my personal opinion is that the Hobonichi Cousin has relatively minimalistic layout and overall design of spreads. I feel like although there are some colors, for example, for the holidays and also the weekends, it's mostly grayed out, and the the font is very minimalistic, and also the daily pages are just like pretty minimal, except for the quotes at the bottom, but really doesn't bother me. I really wish that the grid would extend all the way to the bottom, and then you just have a little calendar here, but I mean, it is what it is. And also, although I do wish that the dailies are not colored like this, so you see that they have these colors for each month, and they are all different, and that does drive me a little bit crazy, but it is what it is. I do wish that they were all grayed out. I don't understand why they need to be colored, but that's just, I don't really have other options, so that's just what it is. But it is pretty minimal. It just has the date and day of the week, and then also a moon cycle, I guess. So let me talk to you guys about why I think it didn't work for me. So I think one of the first reasons is because for the longest time this year, I was in my A6 bullet journal that has, it's a A6 size nanami paper cafe note, and I had set it up to have a year at a glance, and then also some months pages for future planning. And then I had a monthly spread. Oops, hold on. So I would have a monthly spread and then have tracker notes. Now I have the weekly where I plan out just high level things, and now I have daily to-dos. I mean, I still love this. I wish I had continued with it because last year I did use it. That was the only planner I used, and it's just so fun to flip back and then just see everything in one place. But at the beginning of this year, I was using the A6 bullet journal. So it was kind of confusing to have two separate things that were doing the exact same thing. So I think that kind of contributed to the confusion a little bit, and I felt like I was double doing it, and in my mind my brain was just getting a little bit confused as to what I'm supposed to use this for versus what I'm using this for. So I think that's one of the first reasons why it failed for me. And then after the COVID lockdown happened, we were strictly at home, and I kind of didn't have a purpose anymore for this A6 size bullet journal because I chose this size specifically for its portability. And if I'm just sitting at home, like, I don't mind being in a A5, and I would actually much prefer the A5 size just because of the space. But I think one thing that really confused me was the weekly versus daily. So in the weekly, I'll just show you kind of how I was using this from the beginning, because that kind of helps you to see like why it failed. I think one thing that really confused me about the weekly was that this was timed. And in my mind, if something is timed, I have to write out my schedule on it. And that really scares me a little bit because it feels so permanent, because you're really scheduling out very specific things at a specific hour, and that is too specific. And I feel like I need a space where I can plan that out, like where I can sketch out the to-dos for that day, so I can kind of lay that out here. And I didn't have a space for that here, so specifically in the Hobonichi, so I think that kind of confused me a little bit. But then I thought maybe I can use this page for memory keeping. So I would just kind of jot down the things that happened through the day, not like just ignoring the hours. I would kind of just write out what happened that day. I was experimenting with that, but then I quickly stopped and then kind of went back to it and started writing what happened again, like just like kind of memory keeping style. But it was kind of hard to keep up with it. I don't know, just you can clearly see I wasn't really using it. And then I started to kind of jot down stuff about my son Sterling, again, like memory keeping style, and that didn't really work out again. So it's all blank, and I think at this point I just kind of gave up on the weekly. That's why it's just like all blank. And then around May, I decided to use this for shop, for my Sterling ink planner shop. So I would use this for like important to-dos here, and then I wanted to use the dailies as a place for notes. But then I decided, I think in May, I decided that I like my blank notebook so much better just because it's not timed, and I just love, like, I love that it's not timed and I can just do whatever in it. So I went back into my A5 size notebook. So this is blank again, so I stopped using it in May. And then in June, never used it. July, didn't use it either. It wasn't until end of July that I started using this again, and I'm gonna talk about that a little bit later. If you've seen my previous videos, you know how I'm using my weekly spreads for. But let me go to the dailies to show you kind of how I was using this. So I have received my dailies on January 16th, and that was a Thursday, and I started just like using this for notes and brain dump. And that's also where I got kind of confused about how I'm using this for, because in my mind it was slightly confusing because it was very limiting because it was 1 page a day, and I feel like when I'm brain dumping, I don't like having limits, like page limits. I know you can just extend to other pages and use the pages that you didn't use, but in my mind that doesn't really work. I like things to be continuous, and I like to obey the order that's given to me. So I like to respect the date. So that was limiting to me, but at the same time it was also very overwhelming because I felt like I needed to fill out every single day. I felt like I was being chased by the dates, and I didn't like to see blank pages like this. And sometimes I get really busy at work and I just don't really have anything to write down at the end of the day because I'm just so tired. I want to just like do whatever, watch TV. So it would be blank, and it was discouraging for me to see blank pages like this. So that's one of the reasons why it didn't work for me. And then also another thing is that it was confusing whether, like, it was confusing for me personally to have to do and also brain dump and notes all in one place, because I don't know, I think in my mind, just for me, I don't like mixing those things up. I want to, again, like I want to spread out when I'm just writing notes or brain dump, but I do like respecting the date when it comes to writing down the to-dos. So that's also another reason why it didn't work for me. But I tried as much as possible to like write on each day. So I actually did pretty well in February, I guess. I don't know why this page is bent like that. Whoops. So that I actually did pretty well in February, actually. I didn't realize I used it this much. And then blank, I remember that was really busy during that time. So March was a fail. And then I started using this again for shop stuff, I think. Yeah, so I think how I was using this was just like writing down notes. I was working on some spreads, planner inserts for my shop. And I was just like going back to use those blank pages when I decided to use this for shopkeeping, like shop stuff. So this is all blank because I didn't start using this until May. So all of that is blank. And then I think in May, I'm not going to show you all the shop stuff, but I started using it for shop stuff. And then I'm just going to skip all of that. Yeah, so I was using this for shop stuff and in May, and I decided to stop using it because I miss my A5 notebook so much. So then I think one of the other big reasons why it didn't work for me and why the weekly and daily confused me so much was because how the Hobonichi is laid out is you have all the monthlies at the front, and then you have the weeklies, and then you have the dailies at the end. And I have always planned with all of them like mixed. So I would always want to start with the monthly. So for example, here I would have the monthly spread, and then I have the weekly, and then immediately after I would have the dailies. And that's just how my brain works. Like this version makes the most sense to me. So when you have something like so far in the front and then you have to skip so many pages to get to the daily, it kind of creates this friction, so much so that I can't successfully use both sections. So I'm either in the weekly or the daily. So at from like January until June, like I've been mainly in the dailies. Like I didn't really get to use the weekly just because I had to flip so many pages to get to the weekly. So I know you can just set up the bookmarks, but even then I didn't really want to, like it wasn't so easy for me to remember to flip to the weekly when I was in the daily. I don't know if that makes sense. So that's just another reason why it didn't work for me. But at the end of July, I think something really clicked because everything just started making sense again. And I did take out this cousin, and now I've been in it for 3 weeks, and you can see that. So this is the first week I was in it, back in it. So that was the first week, second week, and this is this week. And you can see that I'm really using it fully. And also my dailies, I've been using them very, very consistently. So things are working. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the changes that I've made to kind of make this work better for me. So the first thing is I kind of eliminated all the other planners. So I don't have the A6 size planner anymore. All the daily planning, all the calendar planning are happening in one notebook. So I'm not even using my weeks anymore. I'm only using my Hobonichi Cousin. But the only other thing I have is my goal planner. So at the beginning, I was talking to you about how one of the reasons why I felt like the weekly was a little bit intimidating was because it was timed, and I felt like I needed to have a really good plan of action for that week in order to fill this out. And the solution that I came up with for that was I set up this goal planner where if I actually made a video on this last weekend, so if you're interested you can go check that out. But I actually set up this goal planner where I have very comprehensive like plan for all of the different areas in my life, and I know exactly what I'm supposed to do per week, per month, per day. And then I would go into my monthly and then kind of plan that out. And then in the weekly section, I have categorized list, and then I spread it out through the week. So I have my plan of action right here. And then I move this to my weekly here. So this is like my sketched out layout, and then I just kind of move that here and just like adjust things as needed. So that kind of made it easier, made this layout much easier to use. So it's been pretty successful, and it's actually, this page has actually been very helpful for me because a lot of the times I feel like I just sit down and I don't know what I'm supposed to do at that moment, and I do spend a lot of time like thinking about what I want to do first. But this way I actually know exactly which task I need to tackle first at what hour. And another thing that helped me with this layout is actually this zig circle marker, clean dot color dot marker, because it's color coding each of the to-dos, and visually it's very appealing, and I can see right away like how my day went. So I like that. So that's how I've been using my weekly. And then how does that differ from the daily? Because one of the reasons why it failed for me before is, how does the weekly differ from the daily, right? What am I supposed to write on the weekly and what am I supposed to write on the daily? So how I'm using this is, these are just like very concise kind of to-do. So it might be 2-3 words describing the task, but then when I actually go to the daily, it's an expanded list. So I would break down one task into many small steps so that I can more easily check them off, and that encourages me to keep working, because whenever I have a huge task, it's very overwhelming. So that's how I've been using the dailies. And I don't mix brain dump with the daily. The dailies are strictly to-dos, and also some miscellaneous tasks that don't really deserve a spot on the timeline. It's like very small things that I can do as I'm doing another task that are much bigger. So like, for example, if I'm waiting for something to upload, or if I'm waiting for something to export, then I can just refer to the smaller list on the left side, where I write down the miscellaneous tasks and things I shouldn't forget. And so that's how I'm setting up my weekly versus daily. And another thing that I want to talk about is, I did mention that I didn't like how the weeklies are all together and the dailies are all together. So it does like prohibit me from like going from section to section, because I just feel like it's too far away. So what I did was, I used tabs. I mean, I used tabs before too, don't get me wrong. Like, I did use tabs before, but still I didn't use it. But this time I set up my tabs specifically so that in specific places, so that it would be much easier for me to flip to the weekly section and also the daily section. So for the weekly, I always keep the tab on the left side. And then for the daily, I always keep the tab on the right side. So previously what I did was, it just depends on, it could be on this side or it could be on this side. And also for the daily, I would just move it depending on which day I was on. But now I just always put the daily tab on the right side and then the weekly on the left side. So it's very easy for me to just like go use my finger, and then just, it's very easy to flip from the weekly to the daily like that, and to the weekly. So such a small thing, but that helped me to kind of get over the layout of the planner. And then another thing I want to talk about is the dailies. So with the dailies, I said that I'm only using it as a to-do list or expanded to-do list. And previously, I think something that kind of stopped me from using it is how like much blank space there was for writing to-dos. And that kind of like is overwhelming for me in some ways, because I feel like whenever I see a blank page, my brain doesn't really flow as well compared to if I have some sort of structure or decoration on it. So nowadays what I do is I actually kind of start out the page with some washi either on the bottom or on the side. It just depends on what I feel like that day. So that's where I start, and then I have structured the page by dividing it into two sections. So it would be the left section and the right section. Each page, you can see there's a very subtle line going down, so that's where I divide my page. And then on the left, I would write stuff that I shouldn't forget, so miscellaneous tasks that I need to do but don't don't really have a spot on the weekly layout right here, and then on the right side it would be an expanded to-do list based on some of the tasks on the weekly layout. So that's how I'm setting up my page. And then on the bottom I just have a section for miscellaneous notes for that day. Sometimes I have some notes, but sometimes I don't. It just depends. And then I always set up my dailies the evening before. So all of these weekly pages I actually set up the night before based on what's on my goal planner. So I set up the day the previous night. I did set up Friday just because I had that already laid out. But so when I'm setting up the weekly, after I set it up on the weekly page, I directly go to I immediately go to the daily section and start setting this up. So like I'm doing all the planning all at once because I'm already thinking about planning things out here. And I just kind of continue that thought into the daily page. So the evening before, I had already laid out all the to-dos and everything so that the next day my daily plan is already set out, so I don't have to like think about what I'm supposed to do that day. I can just go ahead and move those plans into action. And that doing it the night before actually helped me to be much more consistent with my daily pages. As you can see, I've been in all of them so far and I really like how they look. And I also do use my dot markers for creating those bullets that I can check off or not check off. Like I haven't been checking them off, but I did actually do them, but I just haven't been checking them out because I do like the look of just the dots. Sometimes they're color coded, sometimes they're not, but on the weekly it's definitely always color coded, just so I can see them right away. So yeah, that's how I've been using my cousin, and it's been very functional for me. As you can see, I don't have any stickers on the weekly just because there's really no space for it at all. And I only use the stickers on the daily pages because it does help me to, it's like breaking the ice and it makes it much less intimidating to use. So that's how I've been using my Hobonichi Cousin, and I really hope that I can continue with this system until the end of this year. I'm already really excited for next year's ordering cousins for next year. And I love the cousin so much that I'm actually using this also for my memory keeping journal. So I can quickly show you a little bit how I'm using this. I ordered this very recently, like I think 2-3 weeks ago. So I'm using the yearly as just like a 1 line a day, and I'm gonna write like the top 3 things that happened that month, and then on the bottom I'm gonna do photo of the month right there. So I ordered it, I received this on July 27th, so that's when I started writing them out. And then I also started backfilling it. So on the monthly spread, I'm using it for photo of the day, and most of it is just Sterling, my son. So I need to backfill all of this, and I'm gonna reference my 5-year journal because I did have consistent I've been keeping that consistently. So I started this on July 27th, so you can see that I've been doing really well filling this out. And I fill this out every 2 days, so I need to fill these 2 today. So that's my monthly spread, and then I use the weekly, so that's January. I was backfilling it, so I'll show you what it looks like in July. So I started keeping it here. So I just write stuff that happened throughout the day according to the hour mark. Sometimes I fill it out through the day, sometimes I just go back and fill it out based on the photos or notes that I might have in my planner. So I've been filling this. It's so much fun. Yeah, so then that's how I'm using the weekly. And then the daily is just really photo journal. So I just put photos of my son, and then so I've been backfilling that, and then you can see that it's just like photos. It's been so much fun filling this out. It's like really fun to look through. So yeah, I'm using 2 cousins, so I clearly really love the cousins. I'm so excited for next year to use my cousins the same way, because it really works, and I love the paper. And it's more about the system, so maybe one day I might discover another planner that does a similar thing, and then maybe I'll try that out. But so far it's been really working. So thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to go check out Bunnyplans' video on her reasons for why she loves and hates the Hobonichi Cousin, and also ways that she's gonna the changes that she's gonna make to make the cousin work for her functionally. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.